The crowd was loud. Voices shouted. Hands waved in the air. The alien auction had begun. Strange lights flashed above the stage. Rich traders from many worlds sat in silver chairs, watching the stage with cold eyes. Hush! Each slave was brought out. In chains, some were strong, some were beautiful. Bids were fast. The prices were high. Then everything changed. The next girl was small, dirty. Her skin was pale and marked with bruises. She had long white hair, messy and tangled. Her eyes were down. She didn't speak. She didn't move. Her wrists were tied in old chains, and her clothes were nothing but torn rags. The auctioneer, a thick lizard-like alien, laughed loudly. Lot 72. A weak one. Quiet, not even trained. He shouted, "Let's start the bidding." 100. Credits. No one moved. The crowd that had shouted moments ago was now silent. Traders looked at each other. Some laughed. One shook his head. Another spat on the floor. Fine, 50 credits. The auctioneer said, trying to sound excited. A rare breed, maybe someone wants a pet. Still, no hands went up. The girl stood alone under the bright light, shaking. The auctioneer's smile dropped. 10 credits, he said. Anyone. She eats little. She's still young. No one answered. No one cared. The girl closed her eyes. Her body tensed. She was used to this, being unwanted. Being mocked. Being nothing. The silence was heavy. Then someone cleared their throat. A quiet sound. But in the silent hall, it echoed like thunder. A man stood up at the very back. Human. Tall. Wearing a simple, brown coat and boots covered in dust. His face was calm, his eyes sharp. "I'll take her," he said, loud and clear. Every head turned. Whispers filled the room. Did a human just bid for that one? Is he mad? The auctioneer blinked in shock. "Sir, we weren't really expecting. Do you mean it?" The human nodded. "Yes, I'll pay whatever price you want. Just give her to me." The crowd laughed again, but this time in disbelief. Some shouted jokes, others made rude comments. But the human didn't respond. He walked down the aisle, slow and steady, like he didn't hear anything. The girl looked up. For a second, her eyes met his. She had never seen a human before. She had heard they were cruel, cold, like the others. But this one didn't look cruel. He didn't look like he wanted to own her. He just looked calm, serious, like he had made a choice. The auctioneer quickly unlocked her chains and pushed her forward. "She's all yours, human. Take her. She's useless to us." The girl stumbled. Her knees were weak. She almost fell. The human caught her dot gently. The crowd was still talking, still laughing. But she couldn't hear them anymore. She only felt his hand on her shoulder. It was warm. He didn't push her, didn't pull her, just guided her slowly away from the stage. As they reached the exit, the auctioneer called out one last time. "Good luck, human." "She's not worth even 1 credit." But the man didn't look back. Outside, the sky was dark. Wind blew across the empty street. The girl stopped walking. Her legs shook again. He turned to her. "Can you walk?" She nodded slowly. He reached into his coat and handed her a soft piece of bread. She looked at it with wide eyes. "It's food." He said, "It's for you." She took it carefully. Her hands were shaking. "No tricks," she whispered. He shook his head. "No tricks." She stared at him. "Why?" she asked. "Why did you?" "Choose me." The man looked up at the stars, then back at her. Because everyone else looked away, he said simply, "And you looked like you wanted to disappear." The girl opened her mouth, but no words came. Tears ran down her dirty cheeks. She didn't even know his name, and he didn't ask for hers. But for the first time in her life, someone had spoken for her. Someone had broken the silence. The humans. Small ship lifted from the ground and disappeared into the night sky. Inside, the alien girl sat in the corner, holding the piece of bread he had given her. She hadn't eaten it yet. She just stared at it, like it might vanish if she touched it again. She didn't know where they were going. She didn't even know his name. But for the first time, no one yelled at her. No one pulled her chains. No one called her worthless. The man sat across from her, piloting the ship quietly. He didn't speak much. He only glanced at her now and then, checking if she was okay. After a while, the ship landed near a peaceful green planet. The air was clean. The stars above were brighter than she had ever seen. The human led her to a small shelter built from old parts. It wasn't fancy, but it was safe. He opened the door and stepped aside. "You can come in," he said. She hesitated. No guards, no orders. He didn't push her. He just waited. Slowly, she stepped in. The inside was warm. There was a bed, a soft chair, blankets, clean clothes folded neatly on a table. A small light hummed gently in the corner. The human handed her a towel. "You can wash up if you want. There's a shower in there." She stared at him. "I don't know how." Nodded. "That's okay. I'll show you how it works, then leave you alone." He kept his promise. He showed her how to use the water where the soap was, and then walked out. She stood alone in the little bathroom, trembling. Her reflection in the mirror shocked her. She looked like a ghost. Her hair was dirty. Her eyes were wide and hollow. She touched her own face slowly, as if checking if she was really there. Then, for the first time in years, she took a warm shower. She didn't want to get out. The water felt like kindness. When she finally came out, wrapped in a soft towel, the human handed her simple, clean clothes. They were too big, but they were warm. He smiled just a little. "Looks better on you than those rags." She blushed and looked down. She didn't know how to reply. That night, he gave her the bed. She tried to refuse. "I can sleep on the floor," she whispered. But he shook his head. "You've already slept on the floor enough." He curled up on a chair instead. She sat on the bed for a long time, staring at him. He didn't ask for anything. Didn't try to touch her. Who was he? Why did he care? The next morning, he made something warm in a small pot over a heater. She sat across from him, still quiet. "Still afraid? You can speak, right?" "Huh?" he asked softly. She nodded once. He tilted his head. "Do you have a name?" She paused. She opened her mouth, closed it, shook her head. "No one ever gave me one," she whispered. The man blinked. "What? Did they call you?" She swallowed hard. "Slave trash. Number 72. He looked away for a second. His jaw tightened. "Okay," he said. "That's not your name anymore." She looked up, confused. "I'm going to give you a real name," he said. Her heart skipped a beat. He leaned back, thinking. "How about Lyra?" Her lips parted. The word felt strange, soft, not like the names the guards used. "Lyra," she repeated. "It means hope in an old Earth language." She looked at him. Her eyes shimmered. "Why would you give that name to me?" she asked. "Because you didn't give up," he said. "You stood alone on that stage. You didn't cry. You didn't beg. I thought I would disappear," she whispered. "But you didn't," he replied. "And now you're here." For the next few days, she stayed in the shelter. She learned to hold spoons again. She stopped flinching when doors opened. She even smiled just once when he showed her how to boil water. They didn't talk much, but silence didn't feel scary anymore. One night, as he was checking the ship outside, she walked up behind him. He turned. "Everything okay?" She nodded, then said something that made him freeze. "Thank you for speaking for me." The man smiled, and for the first time, she smiled back. She had a name now. She wasn't Lot 72. Anymore, she was Lyra, and she wasn't alone. Lyra sat at the small table in the humans' shelter. A warm bowl of soup steamed. In front of her, the smell was soft and gentle. Her hands were clean. Her new clothes, no longer scratched her skin, but she still hadn't touched the spoon. Her fingers trembled as they hovered over it. The man, whose name she now knew, was Jacob, sat across from her. He wasn't eating either. He was watching her quietly. "You don't have to rush," he said. "I don't remember how," she whispered. Jacob didn't ask what she meant. He just pushed the spoon a little closer and said, "Hold it like this." He showed her with his own spoons, lowly, carefully. She tried to copy him. The spoon slipped. Some soup spilled on the table. She froze. Her body tensed hard, like she was about to be hit. Jacob didn't move. He didn't shout. He didn't even frown. Instead, Kay grabbed a clean cloth, wiped the mess, and smiled. "No big deal. Try again." Her throat tightened. She picked up the spoon again. Her grip was shaky, but she managed to bring it to her lips. The soup touched her tongue. She closed her eyes. It wasn't just food. It was safety, warmth, peace. For the first time since she could remember, she tasted comfort. Later that day, Jacob was outside fixing the ship's wiring. The sun on this quiet planet was bright but soft. Birds, real ones, sang in the trees nearby. Lyra sat just outside the doorway, legs tucked under her dot. She watched him, not because she was scared he would leave, but because she didn't know what else to do. The world felt so new, so strange, so free to free. She hugged herself and whispered, "What am I supposed to do now?" Jacob glanced at her. "You can do whatever you want." That confused her even more. "No one's ever said that to me," she admitted. He sat down on the ground beside her. "What did they make you do before?" He asked gently. Her voice was low. "Clean. Serve food. Sleep in a box. Stay silent." Jacob didn't reply for a long time. Then he said, "You don't have to do any of that now." She looked down at her hands. They were scarred, but healing. "I don't know how to be free," she whispered. Jacob nodded. "Then start small. You don't have to run or fight. Just learn to breathe again." She looked at him, puzzled. "Close your eyes," he said. She did. "Now take a deep breath." She breathed in slowly. It hurt a little, like something tight inside her chest didn't want to let go. "Now let it out." She did again and again with every breath. Her body relaxed a little more. She opened her eyes and whispered, "That feels strange." "It's called peace," Jacob said. That night, Lyra couldn't sleep, not because she was scared, but because the bed was so soft, so quiet. She had never slept without fear before. Fear was like a blanket. Heavy, cold, always there. Now it was gone, and her mind didn't know what to do. She walked to the small window and stared up at the stars. Her voice was soft. "Do you think they'll come for me?" Jacob, who was awake and working on a datapad, looked up. "Who?" "The ones who sold me. The ones who owned me before." Jacob stood and walked over. "No," he said. "You're not theirs anymore. If they find me, then they'll have to get through me first." She looked at him. "Why are you so kind to me?" Jacob didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Because when I saw you standing there on that stage, I saw someone who had every reason to give up, but didn't." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "You don't even know me. I know enough." The next morning, Lyra did something she hadn't done in years. She stepped outside. By herself, the grass felt strange under her bare feet. The breeze tickled her cheeks. A small insect landed on her hand, and she giggled. Jacob watched from inside. Smiling, she was learning, not fast, not all at once, but step by step, breath by breath. She was learning to be more than what they made her. She was learning to be herself. That night, as stars lit up the sky, Lyra whispered to the wind, "My name is Lyra. I am not a number. I am not a slave. I am free." And for the first time she believed it. Jacob found her in the garden early that morning. Lyra was sitting quietly beside the small pool of water behind the shelter. Her white hair was brushed neatly now. Her face was calm, but her fingers were tight around a smooth stone in her lap. She didn't hear Jacob at first. She was staring at her reflection in the still water. "I think I remember something," she said suddenly, without turning. Jacob sat beside her. "What is it?" "I was very young, maybe 5. There was music, gentle music, and a woman. Tall, graceful. She wore silver and blue. She smelled like flowers." Jacob stayed quiet, letting her continue. "She held me close and said, 'One day, my little star, you will shine brighter than all of them.' Then the memory fades. It always fades." Jacob looked at her. "You think she was your mother?" Lyra nodded slowly. "I think so, but everything after that is darkness. Cages, cold hands, shouting in strange languages." She pulled back her sleeve. "See this?" she asked. On her arm was a faint mark, more like a tattoo, but older, more elegant. A twisting symbol of stars inside a crescent flame. "I've had this since I was born." Jacob leaned in. "That's not just decoration. That's royal." Script. Lyra blinked. "Royal? I've seen something like it before. Long ago. It's a mark from the Aurelian dynasty. They ruled a group of outer systems, but they were overthrown years ago. Their whole bloodline disappeared." Lyra's hands shook. I might be. You might be the last of them," Jacob finished. "That's why no one bid for you. They were afraid." Lyra swallowed hard. "Afraid of me? Afraid of what you represent. If you're truly Aurelian, you carry a claim. A dangerous one. Some want to erase the past. You are the past they fear." She stood up quickly, stepping away from the water. Double quotes, "No, I don't want that. I don't want thrones or crowns. I just wanted to survive." Jacob stood too. "Maybe, but the galaxy doesn't always care what we want. Sometimes it cares what we are." That afternoon, Jacob pulled out an old data pad from the back of the ship. He wiped off the dust and linked it to the system. "If you're ready, I want to scan your mark," he said. Lyra hesitated. "Will it hurt?" "No, just light." She nodded. The scan took seconds. The result came back with a soft beep. Match. Aurelian Royal Gene Code -99.997% name registered. Lyra Voluntarius. Lyra stared at the screen. Her full name. Her true name. She whispered it again and again, like a sacred song. "I'm not just Lyra," she said. I was born someone. You were always someone," Jacob said. "But now you know who." Hands trembled. "What do I do with this?" Jacob sighed. "That depends. If word spreads, some will want to help you. Others will want to silence you." Lyra's voice shook. "I'm not ready to lead anything. I'm not a warrior." You're not just anything?" Jacob cut in. Gently but firmly. "You survived what many couldn't. You kept your heart alive. That's strength." That night, Lyra sat by the fire Jacob had made outside. The stars above her were the same stars she had stared at through cell bars and slave cages. But now, they felt different. like they weren't so far anymore. Jacob handed her a warm drink. She accepted it with both hands and asked, "Why are you helping me? Really?" He looked into the fire for a long time. "Because I was once in a cage too," he finally said. "Not a real one. But the first fought in wars. I followed orders. I thought I was free, but I wasn't. I only woke up when I saw someone more trapped than me." Lyra's voice was soft. "Me?" he nodded. "And I made a promise quietly to myself that if I ever saw someone like that again, I'd speak for them." She looked down. "I'm glad you did. So am I." But peace never lasts long. A faint light blinked red on the edge of the datapad. Jacob stood and narrowed his eyes. "What is it?" Lyra asked, standing too. "Someone pinged the royal database," he said. "From Offworld, that scan we did? Someone saw it." Lyra's blood ran cold. "Are they coming?" Jacob's face hardened. "Most likely, and they won't be friendly." Lyra stepped beside him. "Should we run?" He looked at her and saw something new in her eyes. Not fear, not just survival. Something stronger. "We might have to fight," he said. Lyra took a deep breath. "Then teach me." Jacob blinked. "What?" "Teach me how to fight. How to protect myself. I don't want to be chained again. Ever." For a moment, Jacob said nothing. Then he nodded. "All right, princess. Let's start tomorrow." Lyra smiled, not because she felt strong, but because for once she wanted to be. Smoke rose behind them. The trees burned slowly under a dark sky as Jacob and Lyra ran through the forest, boots hitting mud and leaves. A low sound buzzed through the air, the sound of a hunter drone scanning the ground below. "They're faster this time," Jacob muttered, pulling Lyra behind a thick rock wall. Lyra was out of breath. Her arms were scratched, her shirt ripped from thorns. But she didn't slow down. She was not the same girl he rescued from the auction. Not anymore. It had started. 2 days ago, Jacob was showing Lyra how to fire a stun pistol. Her hands shook at first, but her aim was getting better. She had learned to breathe, focus, and shoot. Not perfectly, but well enough to hit the center. "Good," Jacob had said. "You're improving." She smiled. "You're a strict teacher." He grinned. Better strict than dead. But that peaceful moment was shattered when the warning alarm blared from the ship. A long-range scanner had picked up 3 ships heading toward their location fast. No call, no message. Just silent speed. Jacob knew what that meant. "They've found us." Lyra's smile vanished. "The ones from the auction. Or someone worse," he said, already packing supplies. "Grab your boots. We're not staying." Now, under the moonlight, they moved quickly through the forest. "They want me because of my name," Lyra whispered. "Because of what I am." Jacob looked back at her. "No. They want to control you." "That's different. You're not a prize. You're a threat to their power." Lyra nodded. "Then, let's not make it easy for them." Jacob raised an eyebrow. "Is that royalty?" "Talking." "No," she said, with a hard look in her eyes. "That's someone who's tired of being hunted." By nightfall, they reached a hidden outpost, an old mining station Jacob once used during his smuggling days. It had weak power, but strong. Walls dot inside. Lyra wiped her face and sat on a metal crate. Jacob checked his pulse gun and laid out 2 extra mags on the table. "They'll be here by morning," he said. "You still want to stay and fight?" Lyra didn't hesitate. "Yes." He handed her a small wrist device. "This is a beacon. If things go bad, press this. It'll send a signal to a nearby resistance ship I used to work with. They might come. They might not." "I won't leave you," she said. "You might have to," Jacob replied. Lyra stepped forward and looked him in the eyes. The first time someone broke silence for me, it was you. I won't go back to silence, Jacob. Looked at her, the fear was still in her eyes, but now it stood beside something stronger. Resolve, dawn. Came with fire. A blast shook the building. Dust fell from the ceiling. Outside, the enemy had landed one main ship and 2 drones. Jacob crouched beside the door, weapon ready. Lyra took position on the other side, holding the stun rifle with both hands. A loud voice echoed through a speaker. Outside, turn over the girl. We know who she is. There will be no mercy if you resist. Lyra's jaw tightened. Jacob looked at her. She didn't move. She didn't flinch. Your move, princess, he whispered. Lyra stood and shouted to Ward. The door, if you want me, come and get me. That was all they needed. The first attacker burst in, covered in armor. Jacob shot first, knocking him flat. Lyra fired the next shot, hitting the second right in the chest. The stun round dropped him like a falling tree. They moved together like they had trained for this forever, but there were too many. Jacob took a hit to the shoulder. Lyra pulled him back behind the crates. Blood soaked through his shirt. Press the beacon, he said, breath tight. Not yet, she replied, pressing. Cloth to his wound,